Hello everyone, Pastor Mike Deisem here with Aletheia Bible Center's second installment of our Advent moment. Do you remember as a child waiting for Christmas Day to get here? I can remember as a child almost immediately after Thanksgiving looking forward to the next holiday of Christmas. I would have already put my Christmas wish list in and was just anticipating with great expectation that Christmas morning and being able to open up gifts and to enjoy the blessing that comes with the celebration of Christmas. Sometimes the days between Thanksgiving and Christmas would just seem to drag on forever and ever, and like Christmas would never get here, even though it was the same 24 hours as any other day of the year. But it's just that because we had that eager expectation of what was coming, that we seem to be so excited about it. You know, it struck me when I gave the devotion last week that that maybe there are some who are watching these videos who don't know what Advent is all about. Perhaps you didn't grow up in the church, or maybe you didn't grow up in a church that has a lot of liturgical events in the church, and maybe you're not sure what Advent is. And I thought I might clear that up today in this particular devotion. What is Advent? Well, Advent literally means the coming or the arrival of. With respect to Christmas, it's the coming or the arrival of Jesus, the Messiah, on that Christmas morning. The Advent would also be preceded by, or what would be included in that Advent would be this earnest waiting or eager expectation of the event itself, of the arrival or the coming. Advent also, though, can refer to a period of time on the liturgical calendar of some churches that actually begins 4 weeks before Christmas Day. It was first observed by many churches in the 400s AD and has continued to this day. That Advent season usually includes a time of fasting so that you can focus your attention on what's important for the season. And Advent is to Christmas what Lent is to Resurrection Sunday, or what some of you might call as Easter. The Advent that is practiced today looks back or tries to focus on the first Advent, the arrival of the coming of Jesus Christ, or his birth, in order, though, to help us to look forward to a second Advent. And that'll be the day when Christ fulfills his purpose by coming back and being the King of all the world. And what an awesome day that Advent is going to be. The first Advent occurred when the second eternally existent person of the Trinity, Jesus Christ, temporarily lays down his glory and he comes to earth so that he can fulfill the mission of his Father by winning salvation or gaining salvation for those who would place their faith and trust in him. Philippians 2 tells us that Christ emptied himself, taking on the form of a servant and being born in the likeness of a man. That's where we get the term or the concept Emmanuel, God with us. He was with us and he was like us in every way, except for sin. The Gospel of John concurs with this by, in the Gospel of John chapter 1 verse 14, it says, "The Word," that being Christ, "became flesh and dwelt among us, and that we have seen his glory, the glory as of the only Son from the Father, full of grace and truth." So is this celebration of Advent mandated for Christians? The answer to that is no. But neither is the celebration of Christmas itself mandated for Christmas. And again, it's not prohibited either. It's simply a matter of personal conviction. Romans 14 tells us that one person considers one day more sacred than another, and another considers every day alike. Each of them should be fully convinced in their own mind and in their heart Whoever regards one day as special does so to the Lord. So why participate in the Advent if it's not scripturally mandated? Many people participate in Advent as a way to quiet their hearts and to focus on what really matters during this time of year. There is so much hustle and bustle that goes on, so much gift buying and gift giving and decorating and one party after another, that your calendars can become so busy that you barely take time to settle down and reflect on what really the event is all about and what's important. I personally like to think about all the ways Jesus fulfilled the many prophecies of the Old Testament, and it encourages me in my faith. The reason that it encourages me is because if God was faithful to fulfill the prophecies of Scripture by sending His Son at the first Advent, how much more faithful will He be in fulfilling all of the prophecies by sending His Son at the second Advent? There's this Christmas carol. It's not real popular, at least not as popular as, say, Silent Night or Joy to the World, but nevertheless, it's a great Christmas carol. It's written by Charles Wesley, and it's called Come Thou Long Expected Jesus. The verse goes like this: Come thou long expected Jesus, born to set thy people free. From our fears and sins release us. Let us find our rest in thee. Israel's strength and consolation, hope of all the earth thou art. Dear desire of every nation, joy of every longing heart. Some awesome words in that verse. The verse begins with that same feeling that we have prior to Christ's coming. Come thou long expected Jesus. We've been waiting for you for such a long time. A lot longer than Thanksgiving to Christmas. Thousands of years. Well, just like in the Old Testament, there was thousands of years between the time that Jesus was prophesied as the Messiah that would come to the actual fulfillment of that prophecy being completed. But yet, the people maintained that eager expectation, that anticipation that one day the advent, the coming, the arrival would take place. And it did. It took place that evening when the angels came down and announced the birth of Jesus Christ. That even though it's been some 2,000 years since the birth of Christ, a little over 2,000 years, that we can also have that same eager expectation that God will fulfill His prophecies and His promises in Jesus Christ. That one day He will send His Son to gather His church, us, the people of Christ. He will come back to get us. And that day will be the most glorious day than all of the Christmases put together. I hope that encourages you today. As you perhaps take time to celebrate Advent, to settle down and to focus on what's really important, to look back at all the ways that Scripture pointed towards Christ's coming and how He actually came, and to look at those verses that point forward to His coming again. I pray that you would maintain that eager expectation, because one day that second Advent is going to happen, and it's going to be a glorious time. Merry Christmas, everyone.